Welcome to this month's iTWO costX Coffee Break webinar. My name is Milan Palmer and I am a Senior Consultant at RIB. This month we'll be continuing our series based on industry trades such as roofing, M&E, flooring and carpentry. This video will cover infrastructure with an example of a road, bridge and overhead line equipment from a railway project. For those who don't know, iTWO costX is a fully integrated estimating solution with universal application, supporting everything from hand-drawn sketches to PDFs, 2D and 3D CAD drawings, and BIM files. iTWO costX is available in a variety of feature levels depending on the size of your business or your estimating requirements. So iTWO costX offers quick and easy on-screen takeoff and measurement that can be live linked to our comprehensive workbooks to help you save time and eliminate errors. The platform also offers a professional report writer, an auto-revisioning tool to help with the new drawing versions, and much more. And as you can see, there are a huge variety of file types supported by iTWO costX to help with compatibility, as we want your import-export processes to be as smooth as possible. Our latest webinar covered the interface with iTWO Benchmark, detailing the interface between iTWO Benchmark and iTWO costX estimating software, and how the platforms can be used in conjunction to create estimates, and downloading a conceptual estimate from iTWO Benchmark. This month's webinar will cover infrastructure, taking off from a road, bridge, and a railway project. From the road, we'll take off a carriageway, use of custom quantities and variables, see how our new automatic unit conversion will work, and dimension cutouts in the bridge. So we will see some of the new features that have been introduced in 6.9. Towards the end, we'll populate an RMM estimate and SESM estimate with those measured quantities. So without further ado, I'll switch over to iTWO costX and get started. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my drawings into iTWO costX. I'm going to start with my road. Okay, I'm going to call this roads and change the name to roads layout. Let's say this is phase 1. Okay, insert. Now go ahead and I'll measure this road here, road 1. I'm going to cut it off somewhere around here. So before I measure a road, I need to add a dimension group. But before I do that, I'm going to add the makeup of the pavement. So I have an image here, a JPEG file. I'm going to leave it in the folder roads and insert it. So we have surface course, binder course, base course, and a sub-base course. These are actually priced as meter squared, these three, surface, binder, and base, but I'm going to use a custom quantity and a variable for my sub-base course. So leaving this section open, I'm going to create my dimension group for road 1. So I'm going to call this road 1, in a folder called roads. This will be an area. But I want to use my custom quantities. So I'm going to go ahead and insert one. The first one will be surface course. Meter squared. Maybe worth putting the thickness there too. New feature of 6.9 is unlimited custom quantities. So I can have as many of these as I like. 60 millimeters. Again, meter squared. And finally, sub-base course, which is 300 millimeters. This one I'm going to use meters cubed, because this is how it's priced. Head over here to measure dimensions, and you can see they've all been listed out here. Expand the box. These are all in meter squared, so I can simply copy and paste the measured area in these custom quantities. However, with the sub-base course, I want the depth, which is going to be a variable. In this case, it's 300 millimeters. I'm going to use the dimension group expression editor and say the area times a variable. So I have one set up already called sub-base course. The unit is in millimeters. So I can close it, and I'll set the default reference variable to 300 millimeters as stated here. So as I measure, 300 millimeters will populate this here. The reason why I've populated the thicknesses in the custom quantity, because later on when I'm populating my bill of quantities, it will be nice to see those values while I populate the line item with the relevant depth. So with my custom quantities populated, I'm going to insert the dimension group, head over to my roads layout, and it may prove to be a little tricky, so it's important to use layers. In this case, I'm just going to zoom in, click on the line I need, just a few times, get the road as well, the little text, and then invert the drawing. So you can see some lines have been picked up here, don't need this, also don't need this. Click on road 1, simply just holding the left mouse button and dragging it around. Okay, making it up to here. Just for now, I'm going to let it do this. If you ever make a mistake, you can just hit backspace a few times and then continue along. See how I'm using the sticky cursor? Zooming in so I can be as accurate as possible. enter to complete. So I have this area here. I can right click it, uncomplete the area, go back a couple of steps, and then to complete this area I could seal it. So I could right click, and seal the area, because we have road 5 here, so I wanted to seal it just there. As you can see, I have quants which aren't completely accurate. It's because I haven't scaled it. If I go down here, check the scale, double click on the drawing, and set the scale. Just zoom out, have a look at my road just there, hover over it. I have my surface course, binder, base course, and sub-base course. Important thing to note is that I tapped in 300 millimeters in my variable, and because of costX new automatic unit conversion, it's taken that as 300 millimeters rather than just a generic value of 300. So costX now understands different metrics and will automatically convert them. Okay, so covering some new features there with the variables, unlimited custom quantities, automatic unit conversion. So now I'm going to go ahead and add a new dimension group. I'm going to call it proposed gully. This will be account. Change the color to navy. Say I want a cross here. Insert. So it may prove tricky again to pick up all our proposed gullies. So again, I'm going to use my layers to click on this little piece of text and invert it. So I'm left with my symbols for proposed gullies. I can use auto count, which will allow us to make a capture and search the drawing for all instances. Some may have been drawn differently, so it'd be a case of using these two sensitivity or tolerance bars to get the ideal result. So I'm going to take it to about 50%. Okay, I'm just going to pick up a few of those matches there and then cycle through them using show next and show previous. You can also use the period and comma to cycle through them. So I'm going to accept it, accept this one. We've got rejection there, but I'm going to click the yellow match, which indicates that it's unaccepted. So red indicates that. So we've picked up two here. I'm going to hold shift, which will allow me to pick up another match which was not picked up. So pressing the full stop or period allows me to cycle through, making sure I've picked up all of my proposed gullies. Once I'm happy, I can zoom out and save the accepted. Head over to my dimension groups. We've got a few there, all been picked up. Show them all together. Maybe I wanted to look at it with my road and monochrome the drawing so everything goes black and white. So I've got my blue proposed gullies and my measured road. Let's print this to a report. Okay. This is a low quality version, but you can also report a higher quality version with this second option here. Okay, so that's the measurement of our road. We're now going to move on to a bridge and crossing. So I'll go ahead and add another drawing. So this drawing contains both vector and raster elements. We want to measure off it using intelligent lines, so we're going to use vector. So we do not want to continue to load as raster, we want to load as a vector. Change the folder to bridge, and we're going to measure these precast concrete beams and the in situ concrete that will be filled over it. So I'm going to use a few different features here, some new, to add a dimension group and call this precast concrete, folder bridge. This will be as an area. We'll use height here, which will act as the length of beam. So it's 15 meters. Measurement type area, but I want to display this as a volume being concrete. I'm going to go ahead and change this to navy and insert. So start over here, simply click on the lines for this precast beam. Enter to complete. Again, need to scale the drawing 1 to 25. It's going to head up here. I have my measure now. I can use a copy and paste. So there are a few places I could do it. I could right click, copy dimension, and then right click, paste. Again, right click, paste. One more time. Then I can use control and select these 4 measures, control C, control V, and just move them where they should be. Okay, so I've measured my precast concrete. I now want to measure my in situ concrete. So I'll copy what I have here and call it in situ concrete. Staying in bridge. and change the color. Let's go for orange. And first of all, I'm going to select in area, right click, and make these negative. So now, if I head over to positive, and just go over here, just do one big area measure. That. Show both together. And we have a new dimensions cutout feature, which allow me to essentially cut out these precast measures. So I can use N on the keyboard, which allows me to toggle between the negative and the positive. I'm going to right click it, modify dimensions, and convert to cutout. It will now cut out the precast from my in situ. Another way would be to again press N, hold Control, select that dimension, and go to change, convert to cutout. So it's in a few places. I'm just going to go ahead and select these and cut out those measures. So there I have it. I have my in situ and my precast. Look at them both together and they're perfect cutouts of one another. Again, print this out to report if required. Close this down. Okay. So now finally I'm going to add my last overhead line equipment drawing. Let's call this rail and insert. So I have a few cables that I need to measure. I'm going to create a dimension group called up fast and down slow. Up fast in a folder, cabling. This will be as a length. Let's choose a color. Insert. I'm going to copy it before I measure. Down slow. Again, just choose another color. So I'll start with this one, down slow, which is over here. So measuring a length, we click on the line. Again, need to scale the drawing. So luckily I can do it after the fact and choose a drawing here and 1 to 500. So my scale will now sit here. And I can continue with the measurement of my cabling. So from here, just hold Control, make my way down to the end of the line. If ever you need to cut it off, I can hover over this line and close square bracket, which is the same as right clicking and trimming the end. That's my down slow. Now if I click on up fast, in the same way, click on the measure or the cable and just hold control. Okay. Click on both here. I've got my down slow and up fast. Again, use monochrome because there are a lot of colors on here. I'll default everything to black and white, and I can print this to a report. Okay, so there's length of cables for train power systems. Finally, I'm going to count the number of switches. So let's go ahead into layers and isolate the text. So I want everything with SE. May invert it back. Just make sure I just capture those switches and not something else. I'm going to zoom right in a folder. OLE to be a count. Let's change the color to purple and a square. So according to this drawing, if I just switch back to here, green is to be new and red is removed. So the layers instantly allow me to show the things that are new, to make sure that when I run my auto count, only the new items or the new switches will be picked up. So search for all instances of SE. Quite a few. If I increase the tolerance, again use full stop. Yep, that's a switch. This is not a switch. This is not a switch. So cycling through the matches, it's found 8 and I've accepted 6 of them. Okay, so I'm fine with that. I'm going to go ahead and save the accepted and head back to my dimension group so I have my 6 switches there. Add a new dimension group. This is switch remove OLE count. So this in a different color and crosshair. Use my layers. This time, instead of using auto count, I can see clearly where my switches are. I'm going to use the B key, which will override snap and allow me to click where I need to click. So these are my switches to be removed. Look at them both together. Monochrome. Pretty similar colors. So let me change this to aqua. Print this to a report. Okay, close this. Here's from monochrome. And that's my takeoff from the road, a bridge, and overhead line equipment. Now I'm going to head over to my workbook view to populate a SESM and RMM estimate. Okay, let's start with the roads and a SESM estimate. Okay, I'm going to utilize our phraseologies here. So for civil engineering, SESM is the most common standard. In our case, we're using roads and paving. Let's drag this in. We also have the class. Drill down into the subtotal. Going to bring down all the second level, second division items. So come to my dimension groups. I've got my road 1 here. So if I hover over road 1, see I've got my surface course, binder course, base course, and sub base course. So I'm going to put the surface and binder in R.3. Head into here. I'm going to go for close graded asphalt. So let me take, and I know when I go back to my dimension groups, my surface course is 40 millimeters. I'm going to drag these across like that. Brings in my code and my unit of measure. Now I simply drag my road 1 in, and I can use a quantity type surface course. Now onto the binder course. I've got hot rolled asphalt binder, and again just checking my dimension group there, 60 millimeters. I can also go back to my pavement design just here. And again, drag across my road 1. Of course, if you had more than one road, you could build those up in a quantity breakdown. Binder course, update it, put in some prices here, and then roll up a level. So I have a price now for bituminous bound pavements. I'm going to go up into unbound subbase and populate my base course and my subbase. So again, use this as a heading. For my base course, I'll use type 1 unbound mixtures, and just to check again, 200 millimeters. I'm going to go over here. Check my dimension groups. Bring in road 1 again, meter squared. So bring in my base course. And then finally, for my sub base, drag this in here. Could have a heading. Check my 300 millimeters. Drag across my road one again. This time utilizing that custom quantity and variable that we typed in. And then go ahead and price these. Okay, maybe take off. Of course, there's flexibility. You could structure this a little differently depending on your requirement. So now let's add a new workbook. This is for our rail items. Again, head over to the phraseology. This will come under direct construction works. Drill down into the level below. Bring the second level in. So for the cabling, this will come under train power systems. Bring in the third level. Comes under overhead line equipment. So it's where costX workbook levels really come into play and become really useful. Okay, put some prices in there. Upper level. And supposing I want to total the amount of cable in the level below, I can use X sum total quantity, which will sum what is in the level below in the quantity. Put in meters there. Maybe a cost per meter, so I can say equals H3 divided by C3. Okay, and then head up a level. That's putting my cables in RMM format. Now to put in my in situ and precast concrete, this will go into civil engineering. Use my phraseologies to help me out. So just bring all these in. Will come under bridges and viaducts. And in this case, it will be deck. And we have a few of these beams and structural decking. So just to recap, we added drawings from different disciplines: road, rail, and a bridge. We took off using a variety of new features, cutouts, unlimited custom quantities, automatic unit conversion, auto count was introduced in a couple versions back. And then we looked at how we can populate these dimension groups into common standards which are widely used in industry. Okay, so thanks for joining me in this webinar today. Hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to email our support address, and to see any of our past webinars and this one, feel free to visit our website. Thanks for joining.